Hello YouTubers, this is my 2022 Royal Enfield Meteor 350. This bike has always been adult owned. I'm the second owner, and ever since I got this bike I've been in love with it. I've done a lot to it. I've given it a lot of upgrades, and I want to show you what some of those upgrades are. Some of them you can see just by looking at the bike. I added crash bars to the front. These are auxiliary lights. They're high and low beam, and they are also LED, so they're super bright at night, and it's that nice bright white light. I also changed the headlight bulb to LED, and all of the signal lights are LED. I added some LED lights to the back, which are both running lights and brake lights, and we'll demonstrate those in a little bit. But I wanted to talk about some of the performance upgrades that I did to this bike. So there are a lot of YouTube videos online of performance upgrades and what they add to the bike. And I just want to let you know what I did to this one. So the first thing I did was I put in what's called a DNA air filter, and it allows for freer flow of air through the engine. So more air in means you need more air out. I got rid of the catalytic converter and put in a straight pipe. I also changed the cover plate to the DNA air filter. They call it a stage 2 air filter plate, and what it does is it allows more flow. And then to really optimize the flow, I added a Kent performance camshaft. And what that camshaft does, it allows the valves to stay open longer, and they also have a higher lift, so there's more airflow. Now once you increase that much airflow through the engine, you need to have a richer mixture so that the bike's not running too lean and too hot. So I put in a Fuelx lite fuel optimizer, and what that does is it senses the mixture, and it automatically tells the ECU to run a thicker mixture. The ECU is the electronic control unit. And the last thing I did on this bike was I put an electronic control unit from a Hunter 350 because it's not speed limited. This bike was. When I bought this bike, the fastest I could go was 72 miles an hour. After I did all my upgrades, I can go 83 miles an hour, which is quite a bit faster. And there's a company called Hitchcock Motors in England, and they have done a lot of work on these bikes. And with the upgrades that I gave it, they've dynoed it, and it gets 30% more usable horsepower. One of the things I like about it is it also gives it a real nice deep end grumble, and I'll show you that at the end, but I want to point out a few other things that I did to the bike. So one of the things I did was I added this is a throttle lock. It acts like a cruise control, and that when you bring the throttle back, you can lock it in place, and then you just press that button and it releases it. One of the nice things about this is when you lock it, you can actually change it just a little bit at a time because it works on friction. The other thing I added, once you do all those performance upgrades, you kind of want to know what's the RPM? What am I running at? Because with the upgrades, a lot of the power is at the higher RPM unit. So I set this to tell me when I'm at 5,600 RPMs, because that's the maximum power, and then a little red light comes on, and that's your shift indicator light. I did keep the Royal Enfield Tripper pod is what they called it. It's a navigation unit. I tend not to use it a lot because I just mount my phone to the bike. Finally, I added heated grips. They're Apollo heated grips, and they're at 5 different settings. So if you notice, there's different color lights that come on. So the hottest is red, and you just press a button and they come on. So one of the things I want you to see is what these brake lights look like. So when I hold the brake, they're going to flash. They're going to flash back and forth, and then together, and then they say solid. And it's going to stay solid until I let go of the brakes, And if I do it again, then it'll flash again. And it's really a nice way to get people's attention. I also want you to see just how bright those directionals are. And they flash at the appropriate rate, because I put the appropriate resistors in so that they wouldn't flash too quickly. Finally, I want you to hear what this engine sounds like. So I'm going to start it up. It's got a nice low growl. I'm going to show you what the throttle lock does, and I'll also show you what that tachometer looks like. If you come on over here. So this is the throttle lock. Notice the tachometer. That red light came on because I went over 6,000 RPM. The bike runs great. Really happy with the way it came out. Just by chance, I had the opportunity to buy a Super Meteor 650, and although I did all these performance upgrades, it's still limited to 83 miles an hour. The 650 will do better on the highway for me, and I'll be able to do longer commutes. So I've decided that it's time to part with this bike. I think whoever gets the bike is really going to like it. Some of the things that I want to show you that I didn't show you before is the luggage. I really like these hard cases because they look nice and they're very practical, and you can close it without the key. I got what I think is a pretty nicely matched top box, and it locks as well. It'll fit a full face helmet, size large, no problem. And I have two sets of keys for the bike and for the luggage. So please let me know if you're interested in this bike. I think it's come out really good, and I'm really proud of it. And I hope that it goes to somebody who can really enjoy it like I have. Thanks.